The blues, it looks very simple on the surface, but in order to do it well, with all the little intricate details, that is something else. And the blues is also universal, because whenever you feel down, you can grab your guitar and you can get everything off your chest. It's pretty wonderful. So today, we're gonna do a classic blues, the drifting blues, like Eric Clapton does it. But before we get to Clapton's version, let's first have a listen at the original recording. Here is Charles Brown singing Drifting Blues in 1945.
Well, I'm drifting and drifting like a ship out on the sea. Well, I'm drifting and drifting.
Classic blues written by Charles Brown. I think it was the first song he ever wrote while still in high school. Not a bad effort. And if you don't know who Charles Brown was, he was a very famous blues pianist and singer of the 1940s. Deeply influential, someone like Ray Charles and his early records. You can clearly hear he's imitating and copying the style of singing the blues like Charles Brown did. Now, before we get to Clapton with all the beautiful licks and everything, we first need to see if we're able to play the drifting blues in the most basic form. And it's important to state, we don't want to just play the blues. We also need to sing the blues. First, do this. I'm drifting and drifting like a ship out on the sea. I'm drifting and drifting just like a ship out on the sea. Oh, well, I ain't got nobody, baby, in this world to care for me. It doesn't really matter how you sound. If you're insecure about your singing, like I am, I just always say, well, turn on a Bob Dylan record. He did some blues records. Pretty good ones, actually. But the singing, if that's singing, then there's no excuse. Anyone can sing the blues. Now, assuming you can do the basics, like I just did, then let's have a listen at Eric Clapton.
I'm drifting and drifting just like a ship out on the sea. I'm drifting and drifting just like a ship out on the sea. Well, I ain't got nobody in this world to care for me.
You can tell, apart from playing the basics, Clapton adds all these extra licks and details, which makes it much more exciting. For example, the basic version starts off like this. I'm drifting, drifting like a ship out on the sea. Oh, nothing wrong with that, right? But Clapton does this. I'm drifting, drifting like a ship out on the sea. Hear the difference? That little lick. That makes all the difference in the world. First, figure out how to do it slow, and then put it in there. I'm drifting, drifting like a ship out on the sea. That's another beautiful lick that Clapton does. Very intricate little thing. The trick is to get back into the groove after you've played the lick seamlessly, like this. I'm drifting, drifting like a ship out on the sea. Same lick. Well, I ain't got nobody, baby, in this world to care for me. and a classic lick at the end. Now, let's see. Apart from the basic version, Clapton only really adds 3 licks. Number 1, number 2, and number 3, which is the most complicated one. So if you can play the basics and learn these 3 licks, then, my friend, you've got something special. Let's see what Clapton does in the second verse.
If my baby would only take me back again. If my baby would only take me back again. Feel much better, darling, and at least I'd have a friend.
The second verse equally as beautiful as the first verse, but it's slightly different. Notice that the licks that he's playing this time around are a bit more complex compared to the first verse. If my baby would only take me back again. Baby. Fantastic, beautiful lick. Thank you, Mr. Eric Clapton. And before you say, well, okay, now that's impossible, right? Well, hold on. Whenever I think, personally, if something is possible or impossible, I always remind myself, well, what's impossible or possible for me is none of my damn business to think about, huh? The key is to go actually do it anyway. And while doing it, you are it. And just let the result take care of itself. Huh? Being comes first, the result is irrelevant, and success is inevitable. If my baby would only take me back again. That's another beauty. Let's play that one very slow. And good news, because the rest of the second verse is identical to the first verse, except, of course, for the lyrics. Now, let's see how Eric Clapton plays the guitar solo. Great solo by Eric Clapton. And the interesting thing is, those notes, of course, are improvised on the spot. That's the whole thing about the blues. You have to improvise your guitar solo. But there is something he does know beforehand. There's a certain structure. He starts with a statement, then there's a response, and he goes back to the groove. That's a statement. Comes the response. You can clearly hear that's an answer to the first lick, a response. Then the groove. So it's statement, response, back to the groove. Statement, response, back to the groove. Again. To the groove. Now, it is important to remember one thing. When you play the statement, after the statement, there's a bit of gap, a moment of silence. Otherwise, there cannot be a statement and a response. There is a silence in between. But what Clapton does, in between the licks, he plays a chord. That's very important, so everybody knows where we are in the song. If you don't do this, then you're just noodling away. And it sounds a bit empty. It's vital to play those chords. Here again. Okay guys, a lot to take in, I know, but we're gonna play the song at the end, like I always do. First verse, second verse, with the licks, of course. And then, of course, also, let's play that Clapton guitar solo, because it's such a great solo. You can find the tabs, as always, on my Patreon site. Grab your guitar, let's play and sing the Drifting Blues. I'm drifting and drifting, just like a ship out on the sea. I'm drifting and drifting, just like a ship out on the sea. Well, I ain't got nobody, baby, in this world to care for me. My baby would only take me back again. My baby would only take me back again. Well, I would feel much better, darling, and at least I have a